Hello students of class 6, we will do a chapter from your history syllabus. And the first chapter that we will do is the Mesopotamian Civilization. So what you will do, you will follow the video and then read the portion or the chapter that we will do today. The ancient civilizations like that of the Egyptian civilization, the Harappan civilization, the Chinese civilization and the Mesopotamian civilization, all the civilizations they developed or they emerged in the Bronze Age. And we find that these civilizations developed on the banks of the river. Now, what was the reason that, or what were the reasons for the development of the civilizations on the river banks? If we look at the reasons, we find that the land on the two sides of the river was very fertile, which helped the people to grow crops. Because agriculture was the main occupation of the people, and for growing crops they needed a fertile land. This fertile land was found on the banks of the river. So the first reason why people settled on the banks of the river was, we can say, fertile land. The second reason was they needed a constant supply of water for agriculture. For growing crops they needed water. And where this water would come from? The rivers, where there was the main source of supplying water to the crops. So for agriculture they needed two things, that is fertile land and water, and both of these were available on the river banks. The rivers supplied them with water for agriculture. So the second reason we can say that water supply, that is for agriculture they needed water which was supplied or which was taken from the rivers. The third reason was that people used the river as a means of transportation, that is as a means for going from one place to another. They used the river for transporting people and also for transporting goods from one place to another. This transportation of goods again helped in the growth of trade and commerce. So the third reason why the people settled on the banks of rivers, we can say, is that the rivers was as a means of transportation. Again, we find that the Mesopotamian civilization also developed on the bank of the rivers. And we find that the Mesopotamian civilization developed on the banks of the Tigris and Euphrates river. These were the two rivers, and the land between these two rivers was fertile. This fertile land was called Mesopotamia in the Greek language, and from there we get the word the Mesopotamian civilization. So in the ancient periods we find that people started settling on the banks of the rivers Tigris and Euphrates around 5000 BCE, which helped in the development of the first civilization of the world, that is the Mesopotamian or the Sumerian civilization. The Sumerian civilization flourished for about 1500 years, and after the Sumerian civilization we find that the Babylonian civilization and the Assyrian civilizations they developed on this part. So the Mesopotamian civilization developed also on the bank of a river. Now, if we look at the characteristics of the Mesopotamian civilization, we will first learn about the society. And if we look at the society of the Mesopotamian people, we find that the society was divided into upper, middle and lower class. The upper class of the society, the kings, the rulers, their family members, the priests and high officials, they all belong to the upper class, whereas the merchants, farmers and artisans, they belong to the middle class. The slaves were the lowest class in the society. So society had three classes, the upper, middle and lower. The upper class was the kings and the rulers, their family members, the priests and the high officials, they consisted the upper class. The farmers, artisans, merchants, they consisted of they comprised the middle class, and the slaves belonged to the lowest class in the society. Family was very important in the Mesopotamian civilization, and we find that the society was patriarchal in nature. That is, the father was the head of the family, but women also enjoyed some privileges. They were also engaged in trade. The women used to do trade and commerce. They also had property, but they had Comparatively, they have less privileges or less facilities than the men, as the society was patriarchal in nature. Again, another thing we find that the Mesopotamian towns and cities, the city-states as they were called, they were also called temple towns, that is, they developed surrounding the temples. And these temples, in the Mesopotamian temples, was known as the ziggurat. And surrounding the temples, the buildings, public buildings and marketplaces were built, and civilized people started settling over there. And some of the important city-states of the Mesopotamian civilization was like that of Nineveh or Ashur. These were some of the important city-states of the Mesopotamian civilization. And the Mesopotamian temple that was found was known as the ziggurat, and these cities were divided into three parts. First, the secretariat, that is the place where the ziggurat or the temple was located. The walled city, the city was walled, and the outer town. And the people lived in the walled city and also in the outer town. We find that the streets were paved, but there were no trains. The houses were built of mud bricks, and the rooms in each house were constructed surrounding a courtyard. So this was the society of the Mesopotamian people, the city-states, and also we have learned about the family. So today we have done till the town planning of the city. In the next video, we will take up the next portion of the chapter. So what you will do, you will follow the video and then you will read up to the town planning and also copy the question answers that has been given along with the video. Thank you.